The great space station called Nexus Prime had never seen so many ships at once. Thousands of vessels from across the galaxy hung in space around the massive structure. Each ship was different, showing the strange beauty of the many alien races that ruled the stars. Commander Tyke stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked out at the gathering fleet. His silver skin gleamed under the bridge lights as he watched more ships arrive. The Valorians were known as the best fighters in the galaxy. Their ships were fast and deadly, painted in dark colors that made them hard to see against the black of space. "Sir, the Etherian fleet has arrived," his aide reported. Tyke turned to see the crystal ships of Admiral Minho appearing like ghosts. These ships could pass through solid matter, making them nearly impossible to fight. Minho himself was made of living crystal that sparkled with inner light. Next came the collective swarms. Millions of small ships moved like angry insects around their larger vessels. Each ship was controlled by the hive mind, all thinking as one. Drone Prime G1 commanded them all, her thoughts connected to every single pilot. The last to arrive were the architects. Their massive ships looked like floating cities, covered in strange patterns that hurt to look at directly. These ancient beings had built the gates that let ships travel between stars. Designate Hyun spoke for them, his voice echoing in ways that made other aliens uncomfortable. Inside the station, the emergency meeting was about to begin. The Great Council chamber was filled with representatives from every major race in the galaxy. They had ruled space for thousands of years and no one had ever challenged their power, until now. The problem was simple. A young race called humans had refused to follow galactic law. They lived on a small blue planet in a system called Sol, far from the center of galactic civilization. When the Council first found them, the humans seemed weak and primitive. Their ships used simple rockets and their weapons were basic projectiles. The Council had tried to help them join galactic society the usual way. First, they sent peaceful messages explaining how things worked. All new races had to follow certain rules. They could only have small fleets. They had to pay tribute to the Council. They could not develop certain weapons. Most importantly, they had to accept Council authority in all matters. Every race in galactic history had agreed to these terms. Some complained, but they all eventually saw reason. The Council's power was too great to resist, but the humans were different. When the Council sent a monitoring station to watch their system, the humans destroyed it. The attack was swift and total. One day the station was there, sending regular reports. The next day, nothing remained but glowing debris. The Council tried trade sanctions next. They told all galactic merchants to stop trading with Earth. The humans simply ignored this. They continued to develop their technology and expand their presence in their own system. Finally, the Council sent an ultimatum. Submit or face the consequences. The human ambassador, a small female named Captain Nari, had listened to the demands with a strange smile. When the Council finished speaking, she had said only, "We will be waiting." That was 3 months ago. Now the greatest fleet in galactic history was gathering to teach the humans their place. Counselor Do-hyun of the Architects called the meeting to order. His voice filled the chamber without seeming to come from any direction. "We are here to discuss the human problem," he said. "They have rejected our generous offer of membership. They have destroyed Council property. They have ignored our sanctions. This cannot be allowed to continue." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. Admiral Minho stood, his crystal body reflecting the lights in rainbow patterns. "The Etherians are ready to phase through their defenses," he said. "Our ships can appear inside their cities without warning." Drone Prime G1 spoke next, her voice carrying the weight of millions of minds. "The collective has prepared 1 billion combat drones. We will swarm their vessels and overwhelm them completely." Commander Tyke was more direct. "The humans have perhaps a few hundred ships. We bring 50,000. They use primitive weapons. We have technology beyond their understanding. This will be over quickly." The other representatives nodded. The math was simple. 50,000 ships against a few hundred. Advanced energy weapons against projectile cannons. Experienced warriors against a race that had barely left their home planet. But Counselor Sion of the Trade Union raised a concern. "What if they have hidden weapons? Some races have surprised us before." The chamber erupted in laughter. Designate Hyun's voice cut through the noise. "The Architects have watched this system for over a century. We know everything about human technology. They burn chemical fuel to reach space. They use metal projectiles as weapons. They cannot even travel faster than light without our gates. Besides, added General Wujin of the military caste, what could they possibly have learned in just 100 years? We have had millions of years to perfect our weapons and tactics. The vote was unanimous. The fleet would travel to Sol and demand immediate surrender. If the humans refused, their military would be destroyed and their planet occupied. It would be a lesson to any other young races who might think about challenging council authority. As the meeting ended, the representatives returned to their ships. Orders went out across the massive fleet. Weapons were charged. Battle plans were reviewed. The journey to Sol would take 3 days using the fastest hyperspace drives. None of them noticed the small human ship that had been watching from the edge of the system. Captain Jinwoo had been there for weeks, recording everything with sensors that looked primitive but saw more than the aliens realized. As the alien fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Jinwoo sent a single coded message toward Earth. It contained detailed information about every ship in the enemy fleet, their weapons, their tactics, and their commanders. The message would reach Earth hours before the alien fleet arrived. That would be enough time for humanity to make final preparations for the war that was coming. Back on Nexus Prime, the aliens celebrated their coming victory. They shared stories of past conquests and boasted about how quickly they would crush human resistance. None of them suspected that they were about to face something the galaxy had never seen before. In 3 days, they would learn that their greatest mistake was thinking they understood what humans were capable of. The Council had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten one simple truth. Cornered animals fight the hardest, and humanity was about to show them just how dangerous a cornered animal could be. 3 months earlier, Captain Nari had walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime with careful steps. Her simple gray uniform looked plain compared to the exotic clothing worn by the alien diplomats around her. She carried only a basic tablet and a worn leather notebook, tools that made the advanced aliens smile with amusement. This was humanity's first official visit to the galactic capital. For weeks, Nari had attended meetings with various council representatives. Each session followed the same pattern. The aliens would explain how superior their civilization was. They would list the benefits of joining the galactic community. Then they would present the terms for membership. The terms were always the same for new species. Complete technology restrictions meant humans could only build ships approved by the Council. Resource tribute required Earth to send a portion of all valuable materials to the galactic treasury. Population controls limited how many humans could live on each world. Most importantly, all major decisions had to be approved by Council representatives. "This is how we maintain peace," explained Councillor Young-ho during one of the early meetings. His tall, silver-skinned form towered over the small human woman. "Every species must contribute to the greater good." Nari had listened politely and taken notes in her paper notebook. The aliens found this amusing. Why use primitive writing tools when quantum computers could store infinite information? They whispered among themselves about the backward humans and their quaint customs. "Do you have any questions about the membership process?" asked Trade Representative Minho. His crystal body sparkled as he moved, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. "Just one," Nari replied, looking up from her notes. "What happens if we refuse these terms?" The room fell silent. Then the aliens began to laugh. It started as quiet chuckles but grew into full amusement. Some of the younger diplomats had to leave the room to compose themselves. Councillor Do-hyun of the Architects spoke when the laughter died down. His ancient voice carried the weight of millions of years. "No species has ever refused council membership. The benefits are too great. The consequences of refusal are too severe. But hypothetically," Nari pressed, still writing in her notebook, "what would those consequences be?" Security Chief Taik stepped forward, his hand resting on his energy weapon. "Economic isolation, military intervention if necessary, complete removal from galactic society." His voice was cold and direct. "No species can survive alone in this galaxy." Nari nodded and made another note. "I see, and how many species have tried to resist before?" "None," said Admiral Sunho of the Etherian fleet. They all understood the reality of their situation. The Council controls all trade routes, all advanced technology, all hyperspace gates. Resistance is impossible. "Interesting," Nari said, closing her notebook. "Then I suppose we're about to make history." The alien stopped laughing. Several diplomats exchanged worried glances. Councillor Young-ho leaned forward in his chair. "You cannot be serious. Your species has been in space for less than a century. You have no allies, no advanced weapons, no way to defend yourselves. We have something better, Nari replied with that same strange smile she had worn throughout the meetings. We have time to prepare. Prepare for what? Demanded General Wujin. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. We have millions of ships, billions of soldiers, weapons that could destroy your planet from across the star system. Nari stood up and straightened her uniform. General, you're thinking like someone who has always been the strongest. You've forgotten what it's like to be weak and desperate. That's a dangerous thing to forget. She walked toward the door, then paused and turned back. Oh, and gentlemen, thank you for the information about your fleets and weapons. My notes have been very thorough. As she left the chamber, several aliens realized with growing alarm that the primitive human had been recording everything, not just the formal presentations, but the casual comments about military strength, the boasts about fleet positions, the detailed explanations of council tactics. Councillor Do-hyun called for security, but it was too late. Nari had already transmitted her notes using a simple quantum burst transmitter hidden in her tablet. The information was racing toward Earth at faster than light speed, carrying everything humanity needed to know about their enemies. Back on Earth, the message reached President Seojin in his secure bunker deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. He read Nari's report with growing satisfaction. The Council had revealed far more than they intended. Activate Protocol 7, he ordered his military commanders. Full implementation. No restrictions. General Heeman looked up from her planning table. Sir, that means revealing everything. Once we use our hidden assets, there's no going back. The Council has made their intentions clear, Seojin replied. They view us as primitive animals to be controlled. It's time to show them what this particular animal can do when threatened. Across the solar system, hidden bases began to activate. On Mars, underground factories that had been disguised as research stations started producing weapons at maximum capacity. In the asteroid belt, mining ships revealed their true nature as mobile shipyards. Even Earth's moon showed its secrets as massive gun emplacements rose from beneath its familiar surface. The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since first contact. When Earth's deep space sensors detected alien ships watching their system decades ago, human leaders had made a simple decision. They would appear weak and primitive while secretly developing the most advanced military technology possible. Every alien visit had been carefully monitored. Every piece of technology the visitors brought was secretly scanned and analyzed. Every casual comment about galactic politics was recorded and studied. Humanity had spent 50 years learning everything they could about their future enemies. The breakthrough had come when human scientists figured out how to reverse engineer captured alien technology. A single crashed probe had provided the key to faster-than-light travel. A damaged alien fighter had revealed the secrets of energy weapons. Each piece of alien technology that fell into human hands was improved and enhanced. But humanity's greatest advantage was something the aliens couldn't understand. While every other species in the galaxy had accepted council authority, humans had never stopped thinking like predators. They studied their enemies, learned their weaknesses, and prepared for war. Captain Nari received confirmation of Protocol 7 activation just as her ship left Nexus Prime. She looked out at the massive alien station and smiled. The Council thought they were sending a message of human weakness back to Earth. Instead, they had given humanity everything needed to plan their destruction. Course for home, she told her pilot. Lieutenant Jiho. Maximum speed. Aye, Captain. The aliens didn't even bother to scan our ship for weapons. Why would they? Nari laughed. As far as they know, we're just primitive humans with chemical rockets and metal bullets. Let them think that for a few more months. As her ship entered hyperspace, Nari opened her notebook one last time. On the final page, she had written a single sentence that would have terrified the Council if they had seen it. Estimated time to alien fleet defeat, 6 hours. The countdown to humanity's first galactic war had begun, and the Council had no idea what was coming for them. The massive alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system like a swarm of angry metal insects. 50,000 ships of every size and design hung in the darkness, their weapons charged and ready for battle. The largest vessels were the size of cities, bristling with guns that could crack planets. The smallest were fighter craft that moved like deadly birds through space. Commander Tayek stood on his flagship's bridge and stared at the scanner displays with growing confusion. The screen showed the human home system exactly as expected. The third planet glowed blue and white in the distance, its cities visible as tiny lights on the night side. Space around the planet seemed empty except for a few small stations and some slow-moving cargo ships. Tactical report, Tyke ordered his weapons officer. Kaiwan. Sir, we detect approximately 300 human vessels in the system. Most appear to be cargo ships or civilian transports. No sign of military formations or defensive positions. Kiwan paused, checking his instruments again. It's almost like they're not even ready for war. Admiral Minho's crystal form flickered with confusion as he reviewed the same data on his ship. This makes no sense, he told his aide, Sunho. Intelligence reports suggested the humans were preparing defenses. Where are their battle fleets? The question bothered many of the alien commanders. They had expected to find the humans gathered in defensive formations, maybe hiding behind the larger planets or asteroid fields. Instead, the system looked almost peaceful. Ships moved on normal trade routes. The orbital stations around Earth continued their regular operations. Drone Prime Jaiwan connected her consciousness to the scanning systems of 1,000 ships simultaneously. Through millions of sensors, she examined every corner of the Sol system. I detect no hidden fleets, she reported to the other commanders. No weapon platforms. No defensive installations. Either the humans are incredibly good at hiding or they truly are unprepared. General Wu Jin laughed over the communication channel. Perhaps our reputation preceded us. The humans probably heard about our fleet and decided surrender was their only option. But designate Hyun of the Architects was not satisfied. His ancient mind had seen too many battles to trust easy victories. Something is wrong here. No species faces certain destruction this calmly. Increase scanning range. Look for anything unusual. The alien ships spread out across the system, their sensors probing every asteroid and moon. They found mining operations on Mars, research stations throughout the asteroid belt, and the usual collection of satellites around the major planets. Everything looked normal for a young spacefaring civilization. Perhaps they're hiding on the far side of their star, suggested Captain Yunwoo of the Valorian Scouts. Some species try to use stellar radiation to mask their heat signatures. Several squadrons moved to check the area behind Earth's sun. They found nothing but empty space and a few automated solar collection platforms. The mystery deepened with each passing hour. Commander Tech grew impatient. We didn't come here to play games. If the humans want to pretend they're not ready for war, we'll show them the cost of their arrogance. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships prepare to demonstrate our power. Target the fourth planet. We'll destroy their Mars colonies as a warning. The alien fleet began to move in perfect formation. Thousands of ships turned toward the red planet, their weapon systems charging with deadly energy. The plan was simple. Destroy the human settlements on Mars, then demand immediate surrender. If the humans still refused, Earth would be next. As the first wave of ships approached Mars, something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to come alive around them. What had appeared to be empty vacuum suddenly erupted with weapons fire. Thousands of human ships decloaked simultaneously, appearing from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. But these were not the primitive vessels the aliens expected. The human ships were sleek and angular, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor. Strange energy patterns danced along their surfaces, and their weapons fired beams of light that cut through space like burning swords. Captain Kiwon screamed as his shields collapsed under focused fire from 3 human ships. Impossible. Our shields can stop asteroid impacts. How are they cutting through them like paper? The answer came from the human weapons themselves. The aliens watched in horror as their own technology was turned against them, but enhanced beyond recognition. The humans were using council energy weapons, but somehow made them 10 times more powerful. Admiral Minho tried to phase his crystal ships through the attacking vessels, but the humans were ready for that too. Strange fields surrounded their ships, fields that made it impossible for the Etherian vessels to become intangible. They're using phase inhibitors, Minho shouted. How do they even know that technology exists? The battle spread across the system as more human ships appeared. They came from everywhere. Hidden bases inside asteroids, concealed positions behind moons, even from what looked like civilian cargo vessels that suddenly revealed massive weapon arrays. Drone Prime Jiwon discovered the most terrifying truth when she tried to coordinate her swarm attacks. The humans were somehow intercepting and decoding her quantum communications in real time. Worse, they were learning from every exchange, adapting their tactics faster than her collective mind could process. "Sir," Communications Officer Sunho called to Admiral Minho. "The humans are broadcasting on all frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Captain Nari. She stood on what appeared to be the bridge of a human ship, but the technology visible behind her was unlike anything in the Council's databases. She wore the same simple uniform, but now it carried new insignia that spoke of military command. "Galactic Council Forces," she said, her voice calm despite the battle raging around her ships. "You have entered our system without permission and attacked our colonies. You have 30 minutes to withdraw from this system. This is your only warning." The alien commanders were outraged. Even with their ships under attack, they still outnumbered the humans by a significant margin. Commander Tech opened a response channel. "Human female, you are in no position to make demands. We have 50,000 ships. You have a few thousand at most. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Nari's smile never wavered. "Commander Tayek, you're still thinking in terms of ship counts and firepower ratings. That's very traditional. Perhaps it's time someone showed you a more modern approach to warfare." As she spoke, something even more impossible began to happen. The planet Earth itself started to move. Deep space sensors registered gravitational anomalies as massive engines, hidden beneath the planet's surface, began to fire. The entire world was accelerating, turning itself into the largest kinetic weapon in galactic history. At the same time, Earth's moon revealed its true nature as a weapons platform, its familiar surface opening to reveal particle cannons that could destroy capital ships. But the most shocking revelation came when the human fleet began to change its tactics in real time. Every destroyed alien ship was immediately swarmed by human salvage vessels. The wreckage was pulled apart, analyzed, and the technology was somehow integrated into nearby human ships within minutes. Captain Yunwu watched in disbelief as a human cruiser absorbed the shield generator from his destroyed escort. "They're not just fighting us," he reported in a shaking voice. "They're studying us, learning from us, getting stronger with every ship we lose." The 30-minute deadline approached as the alien fleet found itself trapped in a nightmare. The humans fought with impossible coordination, as if every ship shared the same mind. But unlike the rigid collective consciousness of the drone swarms, the human network seemed to encourage creativity and individual initiative. Ships acted independently while remaining perfectly coordinated. Tactics changed mid-battle as new information became available. Most terrifying of all, the humans showed no sign of fear or desperation. They fought with the calm confidence of predators who had already calculated their prey's weaknesses. As the deadline expired, Captain Nari appeared on the communication channels one final time. "Galactic Council Forces, your time is up. You may leave now, or you may learn why no one returns after confronting humans." The alien commanders faced a choice that none of them had ever imagined making. For the first time in galactic history, a council fleet was being offered mercy by their intended victims. Some of the younger commanders wanted to accept the offer. They had seen enough to know this battle was not going as planned, but the senior officers still believed their numerical advantage would eventually win the day. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. The battle had been raging for 3 hours when the alien commanders realized they were not just losing, they were being systematically dismantled. What should have been a simple demonstration of galactic power had become a nightmare that challenged everything they thought they knew about warfare. Commander Tyke watched his tactical display with growing horror. Red symbols marked destroyed council ships, and the numbers kept climbing. His own flagship shuddered under fire from human vessels that seemed to appear and disappear at will. "Damage report," he shouted over the sound of failing systems. "Shields at 30%, replied his tactical officer Minseo. Her voice shook with barely contained panic. "Hull breaches on deck 7 through 12. Our main weapon arrays are offline. How is this possible?" Tyke demanded. "We have the most advanced shields in the galaxy." The answer came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Jiho, a young human technician, had somehow penetrated the Valorian ship's communication system. His voice echoed through the bridge with casual confidence. "Your shields are advanced," he said, as if commenting on the weather, "but they're designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles. They don't handle quantum disruption fields very well. Thanks for the data, by the way." We're already upgrading our weapons based on your ship's defensive patterns. Tyke realized with dawning horror that the humans weren't just attacking his fleet. They were learning from it. Every shot fired, every defensive maneuver, every tactical decision was being recorded, analyzed, and used to improve human capabilities in real time. Across the system, Admiral Minho faced a different kind of nightmare. His crystal ships had always been untouchable, able to phase through solid matter and attack from impossible angles. But the humans had somehow developed technology that prevented his vessels from becoming intangible. "Sir, they're using some kind of quantum anchor field," reported his aide Sunho. "We can't phase out. We're trapped in normal space." Minho's crystalline form flickered with stress patterns. "Impossible. That technology doesn't exist. We've never even theorized about it." "Well, the humans apparently didn't get that memo," Sunho replied grimly. The Etherian admiral watched as human ships surrounded his trapped vessels, but instead of destroying them immediately, the humans did something even more disturbing. They began scanning the crystal ships with instruments that shouldn't have been able to penetrate Etherian hulls. "They're mapping our internal structure," the tactical officer reported, "learning how our phasing technology works." Minho realized the terrifying truth. The humans weren't just defeating the Council fleet, they were stealing its secrets. Drone Prime G1 faced perhaps the greatest shock of all. Her collective consciousness connected millions of ships and drones in perfect harmony. No enemy had ever been able to disrupt the quantum network that linked her forces together, but the humans had done more than disrupt it. They had somehow tapped into it. "Warning," her tactical programs announced. "Unauthorized access detected in the collective network. Unknown intelligences are observing our communications." Jiwan tried to cut the connection, but it was too late. Human technicians had already learned how the collective's hive mind functioned. Worse, they were improving on the design. Through her network, she could sense something that shouldn't exist. A human collective intelligence that somehow preserved individual creativity and free will. Each human ship remained independently operated while sharing information instantly with every other vessel. "It's impossible," she transmitted to her subordinates. "Collective consciousness requires the surrender of individual thought. You cannot have both unity and creativity." The response came from Captain Nari herself, speaking directly through the compromised network. "Drone Prime G1, you're thinking too small. Why choose between individual creativity and collective knowledge when you can have both?" As the battle continued, the human approach to warfare became clearer. They didn't just fight to win, they fought to understand. Every engagement was treated as a learning opportunity. Every enemy ship was a chance to acquire new technology and improve their capabilities. The most terrifying moment came when the humans revealed their true nature as a species. They showed mercy to defeated enemies, rescuing alien crews from destroyed ships before the vessels exploded. But this mercy came with a price. Every rescued alien was questioned extensively about their technology, tactics, and weaknesses. Captain Yunwoo found himself aboard a human rescue ship after his vessel was destroyed. He expected to be treated as a prisoner of war, but the humans surprised him with their kindness. They treated his injuries and offered him food and water. "Why are you helping me?" he asked the human medic, a young woman named Dr. Miyeon. "Because that's what civilized beings do," she replied while checking his wounds. "We're not monsters. We're just very good at protecting ourselves." But even as she spoke, Yunwoo noticed other humans recording everything about his physiology, his equipment, and his ship's technology. They were learning from him even as they saved his life. The pattern repeated across the battlefield. Human ships disabled alien vessels rather than destroying them when possible. Crews were rescued and treated well, but every piece of alien technology was carefully studied and reverse-engineered. General Wu Jin watched the battle from his command ship and slowly began to understand what they were facing. "This isn't a military force," he told his staff. "It's a learning organism. Every attack makes them stronger." His aide, Major Seoyeon, looked up from her tactical display with pale features. "Sir, our intelligence estimates were completely wrong. The humans didn't develop this technology in the last century. They've been planning this for much longer." "How much longer?" Wu Jin demanded. "Based on the sophistication of their systems. Possibly since they first detected our presence in their system. They've been preparing for this exact scenario for decades." The revelation hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been caught unprepared. They had been preparing for this moment since first contact. Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every peaceful interaction had been carefully planned to gather intelligence about their future enemies. As the 6th hour of battle approached, the tide had clearly turned. The Council fleet that had arrived with 50,000 ships now counted fewer than 30,000 operational vessels. The humans had lost ships too, but their casualties were light compared to the devastation they had inflicted. More importantly, the human fleet was actually growing stronger as the battle progressed. Ships that had been damaged were quickly repaired using salvaged alien technology. New weapons appeared on human vessels as they integrated captured Council systems. The humans were literally evolving their military capabilities in real time. Commander Tyke made the hardest decision of his military career. Opening a channel to the remaining Council forces, he gave the order that no galactic commander had ever been forced to issue. All ships, begin withdrawal from the system. Fighting retreat formation. Try to save as many vessels as possible. The Great Council fleet, pride of galactic civilization, began to flee from a species they had dismissed as primitive savages. As they retreated, the humans did something that chilled the alien commanders to their cores. They let them go. Captain Nari's face appeared on the communication channels one final time. Council forces, you are free to leave. Take with you this message. Humanity is no longer asking to join galactic civilization. We're offering you the chance to join ours. As the surviving alien ships limped toward the edge of the system, they carried with them a new understanding of what they had awakened. The humans weren't just another species to be controlled and catalogued. They were something entirely new in galactic history. A race that grew stronger through conflict, learned from every encounter, and showed mercy to their enemies while never forgetting the lessons those enemies taught them. The galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in recorded history. Representatives from every major species sat in stunned silence as the survivors of the Sol expedition delivered their reports. The Great Chamber, which had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, now echoed with words that challenged everything the Council thought they knew about power. Commander Tyke stood before the assembly, his silver skin dulled with exhaustion and something that looked very much like fear. Of the 50,000 ships that had entered the Sol system, fewer than 8,000 had returned. Many of those were badly damaged and would never fight again. The humans did not simply defeat us, Tyke began, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. They studied us. They learned from every exchange. By the end of the battle, they were using our own weapons against us but improved beyond our understanding. Counselor Dohyun of the Architects leaned forward, his ancient features twisted with disbelief. You're telling us that a species with less than a century of space travel defeated the greatest fleet in galactic history? Yes, Tyke replied simply. And they offered us mercy when they could have destroyed us completely. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Mercy was not something the Council understood. In their experience, victory meant domination and defeat meant subjugation. The concept of a victor allowing their enemies to retreat was alien to everything they had practiced for millions of years. Admiral Minho's crystal form flickered with stress patterns as he added his testimony. They didn't just win through superior firepower. They adapted in real time. Our phase technology, which no other species has ever countered, was neutralized within hours. They were learning faster than we could adjust our tactics. Drone Prime Jiwan's report was perhaps the most disturbing. They somehow created a collective consciousness that preserves individual creativity. It should be impossible, but they achieved perfect coordination while maintaining personal initiative. Each human pilot could act independently while sharing knowledge instantly with their entire fleet. Council archivist Soyeon had been recording everything with growing dread. The pattern was becoming clear, and it terrified her more than any military defeat. You're describing a species that gets stronger through conflict, she said. Every battle teaches them something new. Every enemy makes them more dangerous. The full implications began to sink in. The Council had not just lost a battle. They had created a threat that could potentially challenge their entire civilization. By attacking the humans, they had forced humanity to reveal capabilities that should not have existed. General Wu Jin provided the tactical analysis that made the situation even worse. Intelligence estimates suggest the humans have been preparing for this conflict since their first contact with galactic civilization. They spent decades studying our technology, our tactics, our weaknesses. This wasn't a defensive action, it was a carefully planned demonstration. Demonstration of what? Demanded Trade Representative Young Ho. That they can defeat us, Wu Jin replied quietly. That our technology can be improved upon. That our military doctrine is outdated. That our assumption of superiority was wrong. The chamber fell silent as the full scope of their mistake became apparent. For millennia, the Council had maintained power through technological superiority and overwhelming force. No species had ever successfully resisted their authority, because no species had possessed the capabilities to do so. But the humans were different. They had not only resisted, they had demonstrated that Council technology and tactics could be surpassed. Every ship they destroyed, every alien they rescued, every system they analyzed had taught them something new about galactic civilization's weaknesses. Counselor Hyeman of the Research Division provided perhaps the most chilling insight. The humans showed mercy because they were confident in their superiority. They let our forces retreat because they wanted us to carry the message back. This entire battle was a statement. We are not your subjects. We are your equals, or perhaps your superiors. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some representatives called for a larger military response, demanding that the full might of galactic civilization be brought to bear against the human threat. Others argued for diplomatic solutions, suggesting that accommodation might be preferable to another devastating defeat. But the most troubling reports came from the outer regions of Council space. Human ships had begun appearing throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as traders and explorers. They offered technology that was demonstrably superior to anything the Council possessed. Their medical techniques proved more effective than established galactic medicine. Their agricultural methods could increase crop yields on worlds that had struggled with famine. Captain Nari herself appeared at several border worlds, not as a military commander, but as a diplomatic representative. She offered trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and technological cooperation. But the implicit message was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for permission to participate in galactic civilization. They were establishing their own place in it. The most disturbing intelligence came from worlds that had accepted human assistance. Species that had been struggling with various problems found that human solutions often worked better than traditional Council methods. Worse, these improved techniques spread rapidly as other species adopted them. They're not conquering us, reported Intelligence Chief Jinwoo. They're replacing us, making us irrelevant. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore. The Council had maintained power not through benevolence, but through control of technology and resources. The humans had demonstrated that this control could be broken. They had shown that Council technology could be improved upon, that Council tactics could be defeated, and that Council authority could be safely ignored. The final blow came when several younger species began requesting human assistance instead of turning to the Council. The Kepler colonies asked for human agricultural experts. The Vega Mining Consortium wanted human industrial techniques. Even some Council member species quietly inquired about human medical technology. Councillor Do Hyun called for order as the emergency session entered its 7th day. The ancient architect had witnessed the rise of galactic civilization, and now he was watching its fundamental assumptions crumble. We face a choice, he announced to the assembly. We can continue to view the humans as a threat to be contained, or we can accept that the galaxy has changed. The old order, where the Council controlled all advanced technology and determined galactic policy, is ending. Are you suggesting we surrender our authority to a species that has been spacefaring for less than a century? Demanded Military Commander Seojin. I'm suggesting that our authority was never based on law or justice, Do Hyun replied. It was based on superior technology and overwhelming force. The humans have demonstrated that both can be overcome. The question now is whether we adapt to this new reality or become irrelevant to it. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than anyone expected. By a narrow margin, the Council chose to open diplomatic relations with humanity rather than risk another military confrontation. But the decision came with the understanding that they would be negotiating as equals, not as rulers granting privileges to subjects. Captain Nari received the Council's diplomatic invitation while standing on the observation deck of humanity's first interstellar colony ship. The vessel was heading toward a system that had never been claimed by any galactic power, carrying volunteers who wanted to establish new human settlements beyond Earth. Captain, her aide Lieutenant Wu Jin reported, the Galactic Council is requesting formal diplomatic relations. They're offering technology sharing, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. Nari smiled as she watched alien ships maintaining a respectful distance from the human convoy. Tell them we're honored by their offer. We'll be happy to discuss partnership between equals. Partnership, Captain? The galaxy is large enough for all of us, Wu Jin. The Council ruled through fear and control for millions of years. Perhaps it's time someone showed them what cooperation can accomplish. As the human colony ship continued toward its destination, it carried with it the seeds of a new galactic order. One where technological advancement was shared rather than hoarded, where younger species could develop without being controlled by ancient powers, where diversity and creativity were valued over conformity and tradition. The humans had done more than win a single battle. They had proven that the galaxy's fundamental assumptions about power and authority could be challenged. They had shown that there was a better way to organize galactic civilization. And most importantly, they had demonstrated that mercy and strength were not opposites. The greatest victory was not the destruction of one's enemies, but the transformation of the battlefield itself. The galaxy would never again be the same. The age of the Council's absolute authority was ending, and the age of true galactic cooperation was beginning. All because one species had refused to surrender when faced with impossible odds, and had the wisdom to show mercy when victory was assured.